game stand out from the mountain of other hopefuls has always been an uphill battle. At first glance, Celeste appears to be just another hopeful, stuck at the approach and hoping for the snow to ease. However, not even 5 minutes in, I realised that Celeste was already halfway up the mountain, with its sights set on placing a flag among the other indie greats. The question is, can the game continue to climb to new heights, or will these new heights thin the air as well as my patience? I've enjoyed platforming in Celeste far more than any other difficult 2D platformer in recent years. I can nail this down to the fact that each room wasn't just about running and jumping. You see, our protagonist Madeline, who may be very small, has the ability to hold onto and climb walls, with stamina preventing her from doing it indefinitely. Not just that, she can air dash in 8 directions once per jump. These abilities allow the developers to get creative with rooms, making them feel part puzzle in the process. Because dying had zero punishment and restarts were instantaneous, I never stopped to assess my route through these rooms. Rather, I would learn on the fly, and if I messed up, rarely was I more than seconds away from my mistake. It wasn't just Madeline's moveset that allowed for creativity in level design. The developers went the extra mile with adding platforms and items to the world that added an array of interesting ways to get around. I never felt overwhelmed by the different mechanics the game threw at me because they are added at a steady pace and on a level by level basis, fitting the theme of each level perfectly. Additionally, I was amazed at how complex and creative they got with some of these mechanics, quite often chaining them together in a montage of events. Scattered throughout the zones are strawberries for you to collect. These were completely optional, but I found myself drawn to collecting every one I discovered. What's most enjoyable about collecting strawberries is quite often they had me scratching my head for a bit, rather than my usual gun-ho approach. The strawberries also encourage exploration, as some hidden paths would lead to extra berry challenges. My only gripe with the fruity collectible was sometimes the game locked me from backtracking when taking the main route, which meant playing the level again to take the other path I already knew about. Perhaps one of the most difficult things to talk about in this review would be the story. It tackles Madeline's personal issues head on in an elegant and very emotional way. Most of us at some point in our lives can relate to what Madeline is going through, and thanks to the story being woven into the very fabric of gameplay, I felt attached to the narrative. On a personal level, I came away from this game with a better understanding of myself than what I went in with. However, I feel like this may depend on the person as to what they get out of it. Finishing the story with about 2/3 of the strawberries took me just over 6 hours. I also managed to find 6 out of 8 of the B-side cassette tapes. These tapes unlock even harder variants of the standard levels that will really test your skill. As with the story levels, these B-sides remain hard, but fair, and focus on sheer platforming madness by removing the distractions. I enjoyed these more than I should have, mainly because I never had to worry about anything but getting to the end. The game has a barrage of assist options for those looking for an easier hike up the mountain. They range from extra dashes to complete invincibility. Although I died over 1,000 times in my playthrough, I never found the need to turn one of these options on. But if they can help someone more challenged by platformers enjoy the game, then these options can only be a good thing. However, I'm unsure if the game's vision or direction may be a little lost in the process of making it easier, so I would be hard pressed to recommend the game to players not up to the challenge. If the assist options are the icing on the cake, then the art style can be considered the strawberry on top. The pixel look the developers went for suits the game perfectly. Sometimes I was so caught up in the action, I didn't take time to appreciate the world, but looking back at my footage helped me realise how each area's theme was fitting to that zone, with clever use of fore and background lighting to distinguish platforms. One minor graphical annoyance was the screen distortion effects some enemies caused. It did add tension, but at the price of making deaths feel unfair. Each zone's music was also well suited to its theme and difficulty, adding tension and rhythm to your movements. Celeste turns a massive mountain into one-screen molehills, with each screen elevating in difficulty at a steady pace. Fortunately, the peak of the game's hardship is completely optional, an option that I took every chance I could, simply because they felt so damn rewarding to complete. I could bang on about graphics, music and story, which were all fantastic and beautifully woven into the fabric of gameplay, but one thing stands above all else here: platforming. If you enjoy platformers and don't shy away from a challenge, then grab your hiking gear because Celeste is cooling.